Hello everybody, I'm Zarius, and if you can read the title, this is clearly a review for the Man of Steel. So, yeah. Superman Returns is clearly a reboot for the Superman franchise, which is in clear response to the failure that was Superman Returns. However, was this movie like the second coming of Jesus like we all thought it was going to be? No. No, it wasn't. But it is a good movie. So, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about the movie clearly. And the reason why I'm doing this film review is because I've noticed that a lot of critics on YouTube and everywhere like to be really critical of little minute stuff and blew it out of proportion. So, this is just going to be like a real nigga talking. You know what I mean? Just being straightforward, being clear, telling you my thoughts on the movie. Because I've noticed, a lot of film critics love to just nitpick any tiny little thing and just roll with it. So this is just going to be, just my honest opinion, real thoughts, real critique of a really, really good movie. So, let's start. By the way, if you're one of those people who like to spaz out about spoilers, eat a dick. Moving on. Here's what I think make a pretty good movie. Plot line, clearly, storyline. Every movie's trying to tell a story. Characters, of course, because you can't tell a story without characters. Progression of the plot line, how it flows, is it smooth, does it feel choppy, how well the story's told is also very important. And number 4 is the villain, the bad guy, the adversary our hero has to overcome. So we're going to talk about all that stuff. And the reason why, I think those are the most important aspects in any movie or any story. And, special effects don't really make a movie. And the reason why I bring that up is because, like a lot of people like to complain about how some special effects aren't up to par. Which, actually, that doesn't mean that the special effects in this movie aren't good, because they're amazing. But they don't make the movie. Special effects do not make a movie. And I'll probably only mention special effects a couple of times and just how spectacular they are as I go through this review. Alright, so let's talk about the story. The story isn't really too much to spoil because it's pretty straightforward. It's nothing like Inception. There really isn't any twist. It's an action-packed movie, basically, so there's not really much to spoil. Basically, Krypton is being destroyed. So, Jor-El and his wife send their son to Earth. Crazy plot line, that's what starts out. It's his origin story, and nothing's really going to change there. But one thing they did well, though, is we spend a lot of time on Krypton in this movie, and I think it's really cool because we actually get to see what happened to Krypton and how it fell, and then General Zod comes and he tries to form a coup and tries to take over the government. But it's kind of wasted because Krypton is being destroyed, so I don't understand why he tried to take over the government at this point. I guess he was just like, fuck it. I don't know. But anyway, he tries to take over the Kryptonian Council, because apparently they work, it's not a democracy, I don't really know what their system of government is, but there's a council, they make cool decisions. Zod's like, you know what, martial law comes in and starts shooting up the place and tries to establish his goal. And Jor-El, he escapes, he gets out of there, and he sends his son off to Earth. And that's pretty much how the movie starts. I mean, the ending might shock you, maybe. I won't tell you what happens there. Don't worry about it. The ending might shock you a little bit, but it's not like you're gonna find out Zangetsu was Juhaba from 1,000 years ago. But I mean, it's not like that happens. And if you're a Bleach fan, I just fucked that up for you. I apologize for that. It is clear that this movie is a direct response to Superman Returns. Because a lot of people were bitching about how, Superman Returns didn't have a lot of action. And they're like, oh, you want action? You want action? Man of Steel. That's pretty much how it goes. Because when it comes to character relationships and development, you don't really get a lot of that in this movie. Because like the one problem, I had 2 problems with this movie. One problem I really had was just the interaction between Lois and Superman felt really forced. It didn't feel natural, so because they just kind of meet each other. He saves her 2-3 times, and they kiss each other. It's not natural. You don't really feel like they've only known each other for quite literally like 3 days, so it doesn't feel very natural, So that's my only gripe. The characters aren't really as developed that well. No, there's 2 characters that are developed really well. and that's Jor-El and Zod. And we'll get to Zod in a little bit, but the characters, it's really more based on the action because it's a spectacle. I mean, the special effects are beautiful. No one can complain about the special effects because it really looked like these guys were flying when they were flying. So there are no complaints about special effects. They look good. So much action in this movie. I'm telling you, it is clear that they heard what the fans said about Superman Returns, and they're like, "You want action? You got action," because there's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff that happens in this movie. Just a lot of it. Just a lot of stuff. Superman fights Zod. Shocker. I mean, so and they're just destroying. Entire buildings are collapsing and falling. It's crazy. It's just a lot of stuff happens. So if you're an adrenaline junkie and you love action and you love fighting, you're gonna get a kick out of this movie. I promise you. You'll probably masturbate to this movie because there's a lot of action. Talking about the flow of the movie, the first half seemed choppy, but after, cause at one point, when Zod appears, it kind of feels a little random, just cause he just comes out of nowhere. But then they explain what happened and how he found Earth, so it made sense. But the beginning of the movie, like I said, it feels a little choppy, but it works. It's good that they did it that way. So that's okay. One thing I noticed about this movie, I don't know if this is gonna be a theme for a lot of reboots, but in the Amazing Spider-Man, the whole movie, me and my ex-girlfriend talked about this, the whole movie felt like character development for Peter Parker. And the Man of Steel is kind of like that too, but not for Clark Kent, more like for Spider-Man. This film series seems to be more based on... Did I just say he was Spider-Man? And I'm talking about my favorite character first, before I get on the side. My favorite character was Fiora. She ended up dying, She's my favorite character. She's a freaking beast. She put a whooping on everybody, she was my favorite character. I'm not even gonna lie. Even if you're like, oh, she's your favorite character because she's hot. I'm not arguing with you. Yeah. That's pretty much the reason why. I would have babies with her. I'd have little mixed human Kryptonian babies with her. She's pretty. Yeah. And that's the highest compliment I can give a woman. If I told you I'd have babies with you, that you should feel good about yourself because you meet a really high standard. Yeah, I'd have babies. And one thing I like the most about this movie is we got to see all of Superman's powers. Well, not every single one because he has a lot, but we actually got to see all of his powers. At one point, Superman uses super speed, and you're like, oh, Superman has super speed. Let me stop the video for a second. I know Superman has super speed. That was a joke. And it's sad I have to explain this because I know a lot of you nerds on YouTube will come on this video and bitch and complain and be like, you didn't know Superman has... I know he has super speed. The point was, in a lot of Superman movies, they don't really show his super speed. We finally get to see his array of powers. It's basically what I'm saying. Okay? He uses most of his powers. And the last thing we're going to talk about is General Zod. The main antagonist. Now, General Zod is not much of a tactician or anything like that. He's just General Zod. He's a beast. That's pretty much all there is to it. It's a pretty straightforward villain. He just, his goals. And one thing I liked about this Zod though was in the original, in Superman 2, Zod was just a jackass who just wanted to take over Earth. But in this film, he had a goal. He was actually trying to accomplish something, and it wasn't all cut and dry. He just wasn't. He was a bad guy. Really, he was trying to save his people. So they had a real humanizing aspect to Zod, and you really felt for the guy. You could really understand why he was doing what he was doing. I didn't make what he did right. He kind of had this mentality: the ends justify the means. So sorry about that. Anyway, so. I really liked Zod. He was a good villain, a good adversary. I had all the powers, Superman had, so he was pretty good. You can really see one thing, I guess, if you think critically, a metaphoric aspect to it. You can see the two ideals clashing with each other. Superman being the hope of humanity, Zod being the destruction of it. You can really see that if you think critically about the film. But like I said, continuously, the film's pretty straightforward. There's not much to it. Yeah, but I really like Zod. Zod is definitely my real favorite character. I really like Zod a lot. They developed the character pretty well. He had a goal in mind and did a pretty good job. So, yeah. Like I said earlier, this movie is clearly a response to Superman Returns, because like I said, where Superman Returns really focused more on Lois Lane and Clark's relationship and explaining why Superman was gone for so long. This film really focused more on actions and spectacles and what's like the action part of it. It didn't really focus much on the character development, just more like the story and the action. But I really thought Superman Returns was a bad film regardless. My only problem with Superman Returns is how they took an absolute shit on Superman lore, and the fact that Superman was able to pick up an island of kryptonite pushed into space, and then somehow he survived with a piece of kryptonite inside of him. I don't know. Whatever, it's a movie, they can do whatever they want. That's the only problem I had with Superman Returns. I thought it was a good film, but a lot of people didn't. So that's pretty much the reason why Man of Steel even exists. And Man of Steel did a good job establishing Superman as a character. They kind of went with the same route as The Amazing Spider-Man, just a whole bunch of character development for Superman instead of Clark Kent. Because the whole time, he was pretty much Superman. You don't really see much of Clark Kent. You see Kal-El the whole time. So, yeah, it's a good film. It was a great movie, actually. I really liked it. I enjoyed it. I would, yeah, I'd say you can go watch it, or buy it on Blu-ray. It's not like you have to see it right now in theaters, but it's a good film. It's a good movie. A lot of action in it, and you'll probably enjoy it. So that's all I have to say. All right, I just want to thank you guys for stopping by, checking out this video review, and yeah, I'll see you guys soon. So go ahead and like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Adios. I mean, she was General Zod's bitch, but that was okay. That was okay. I mean, I wish she was my bitch. I would. Yeah, I would have babies with her. Our race would have continued with just me and her. Cause I want to go now. I'm gonna go.